My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. If you did follow our build-up to this particular game, you would have seen that between the three of us, we felt that the Punjab team would reach a very small window between 174 and 181. Normally, we never do that. We like to have a bigger spread. Guess what? They came smack in the middle of that. And I don't like this game anymore because yet again, the mice haven't done it. The cat has done it. Harsha Bhogle, 1 run away from your exact score of 177.
Look at poor Gautam. I mean, Gautam is the guy who loves playing fantasy league. Joy is the guy who designed the first ever fantasy league in this country. But, I mean, it's... Nah. I mean, these things are all tukka. So, I mean, just happened. But I think it's going to be a really good game because it's the kind of score that gives you an opportunity, but it also, to the most intriguing team of this tournament, also allows us to see what kind of approach they have. I think if they start off the way they did last time, then I think they'll struggle. But, you know, we shouldn't get carried away by Sharjah and think 178, yeah, very gettable. I've just been looking at some of the games here. And if you look at the games in Dubai, other than 2 games where are we? Okay, on the app, the 157 produced a super over. 163 was enough to win. Then as you go down, so I'm taking a little longer. As you go along, there was a 206, there was a 200 tie. But after that, 174 was enough to win. And I should have actually written this out. 164 was enough to win. So I think 178 is enough to win, you know. So this is going to be a serious test for Chennai.
It certainly is, Joy, and especially because Chennai are the very team who make even 140, 150 look laborious, because when they reach that 10 over mark, they're allowing that required rate to go out. So today, that's one thing they'll have to change. Have a look at what they've done so far, and they've been batting second every time.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that they'll have to worry about, that what is their start, because traditionally the Chennai way is to soak pressure and to do it in the end. Unfortunately, maybe it's aging legs, may not be the ability they used to have in that thing. That has not worked for them. They've not managed to have successful run chases. And with somebody like Dhoni being a part of the team, not having successful run chases, there's only one way to remedy that, to get off to better starts. You know, previously they used to allow themselves to go to 15, 16 and say, we'll chase that the last 5. I think they should now turn around and say, we will not allow the run rate to go above 12, you know, or maybe even 10, keep it safe. Never before, if it goes before that, we'll start attacking.
Yeah, you saw on that graphic, Harsha, the only time they did keep it under 10 after 10 overs, they ended up winning the match. That was the opening match of the tournament. So they'll have to change that. But talking of the score that's been set, how brilliant were the opening pair, the 2 friends, once again, Mayank Agarwal and Lokesh Rahul.
Excellent. I only wish KL Rahul goes back to being the destroyer that he can be. He can be a very subtle, stylish destroyer, but a destroyer nonetheless. But this is excellent. I mean, you look at when SRH did very well. They did very well with their openers. So they're doing really well. Yes, it helps that they are best friends. Also, one day Mayank will take off. One day KL Rahul will take off. So it's been really good. But also today, I thought the innings that Pooran played, the little finish from Maxwell and Sarfraz, and don't ever, that 27 of 15 that Mandeep played. He just sort of took the innings to another gear. Then Mandeep took it to the next. So I thought that was excellent. That 58 of 31 was especially good. Nicholas Pooran was good. And then in that brief period, KL Rahul came out and played some shots. But I just wonder whether Rahul is giving himself a role of responsibility that in this batting lineup, he doesn't really need. I mean, there's enough batting. Sarfraz could have come in a little earlier if required. There's enough hitters at the end. I wonder if he's trying to give himself a role he doesn't need.
Yeah, that could be something. But I think the way we've been talking about the innings, there was that period when Shardul Thakur picked up 2 wickets in 2 balls, and many teams could have got derailed over there and lost about 10 or 15 runs. They held on. He was on a hat trick for a moment. It didn't carry to Shane Watson, and then they finished off really well, getting to a total, Joy. I think that they were probably settling on at the 10 over mark.
No, absolutely. I think they ended, except for those last 3 balls, which was just purely out of spite to me. They didn't want me to win. They wanted Harsha to win. There's no other explanation for those last 3 balls giving them 2 runs. But before that, you know, it reminds me of this fantastic song from Om Shanti Om, this 2008 Shah Rukh Khan film, where there's this
Such a
one
modern
song
song.
in which everyone comes and makes an appearance. So you have
Yes.
Anil Kapoor coming, you have Amitabh Bachchan coming, you have Hrithik Roshan coming, you have Kajol coming, and that's exactly what the Kings 11 did. Mandeep came and showed himself briefly. Then Nicholas Pooran came and gave him a little touch. Then Sarfraz came and said, "Look, I'm also out there." And then Maxwell also hit a 4. So everyone sort of came to the party, as it were. It was lots of little cameos, the kind of things that you see in songs like that.
Harsha was very disappointed that you picked something from as recently as 2008, not from
2008.
1908.
Deepika's debut film as recent as that? Can you imagine? But you know what? I think that's a lot better than two guys doing a lot and the others not doing enough. It tells you everybody is in decent nick and that nobody is using up deliveries. Everybody is stepping on the gas and going. And I think, look, 9 and over, many days, 9 and over is, you say, wow, that's not bad at all. And I think on this track, somehow, I just get the feeling it might be enough unless CSK go for it very early. I mean, someone like Kedar Jadhav at 4, Dhoni at 5, Jadeja at 6. They've got to start moving a little earlier. I don't know what Watson. I mean, it's about time Watson really gets a move on, because Faf is starting slowly. I think Faf is perfectly capable of starting quickly, but he's having to start slowly too. So, I mean, look at those last two run chases we showed you, 45 and 44 in the first 10. You can't win matches like that. So, very interesting to see how CSK play today.
Yeah, that's a confirmation there at the end of 10 overs, as you said. Not just the wickets lost, but the number of runs you put on the board. But before we finish, I think it deserves a quick word on the Chennai bowling, because while the batting and the chasing has been an area of concern, certainly in parts they've bowled decently. And today it could have been a lot worse had it not been from some disciplined bowling in parts. They finished really well, Joy.
No, they finished really well. And if you look at it, that's a very interesting thing that Deepak Chahar didn't finish, Sam Curran didn't finish. So now you can look at this and say that Shardul Thakur and Dwayne Bravo are their bowlers which they're giving at the death. And that's interesting because it's a change in philosophy. They've gone back to Bravo. Chahar was getting overs at the death. He's no longer getting overs out there. That's interesting. They're trying to do something here. And look, Chennai always does this. They sort of settle into a formation and then they do it. Shardul Thakur has done well for them today. I'm just a bit disappointed. As I said, Piyush got 2 overs, didn't do much out there. But again, Ravindra Jadeja made a really good comeback. I mean, in matches like this, 34 and 1 wicket is a terrific analysis.
I think the return of Bravo, Gautam, the return of Bravo is allowing them to play Deepak Chahar like they used to before. If you remember when Deepak Chahar first came along, they used to use his new ball ability, give him 3 at the start, occasionally 1 around 11, 12 and finish him off. But because Bravo was not there, they were having to hold him back and they were only playing 5 bowlers for the first couple of games. Now that Bravo is back, they can go with Chahar up at the top. Ask Shardul if he will finish. They'll be a little disappointed with Sam Curran, I think. But I still think they need one fast bowler. Every team that's doing well has at least one big hit the deck fast bowler. They need one.
But just a quick one. I know it's been a long day. We didn't get too much of a chance to talk about what happened in the previous game as well. We briefly mentioned that it was Mumbai who went home. Just one point I'd like to make on that the key point. And I heard some of the commentators talking about it, the 6-hitting ability of the Sunrisers. And when it comes to a ground like Sharjah, Harsha, that is going to make a huge difference.
You're talking this game or the previous one?
The previous game for the Sunrisers,
yes.
One of the reasons why they finished second best.
Yes, absolutely. And we had that lovely graphic up that talked about the experience at 5-6-7 and the experience at 5-6-7 for the Sunrisers. So Abhishek Sharma is a good player, but I don't think Abhishek Sharma is the kind of player you send out and say, get me 20 from 6. Maybe Samath can do that. Priyam Garg is also essentially a top order batsman. So these are all players at the development stage. They need that one player down at the end who can go and finish an experienced player like a Pandya or a Pollard at the end. But I mean, good on them. They're giving kids the opportunity. They did finish it the other day. Priyam Garg and Abhishek Sharma did finish it the other day. But who's going to do that for CSK?
Well, the only thing is they shouldn't be letting it get to a point where they need to only hit 6s in the previous game. Remember, Sharjah's average this season has been 15 6s per innings. And when you hit 7, chasing 200 plus, you know that you're going to be struggling. And even apart from the 3 youngsters, you look at a Bairstow, you look at a Warner, you look at a Pandey, they're not necessarily only 6 hitters. Warner likes to hustle. He likes to hit boundaries, Joy.
No, absolutely, and I think this is. Even Tom Modi, who's coached SRH for a long time, said that in Sharjah, if you're not hitting 36s, it's not going to work. You need that many boundaries to make it happen. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And that's one of the things that's very, very clear out there. Teams will have to therefore contend for it, or teams will have to look at it and say that these are changes we're going to make. Unfortunately, this is such a close, IPL. Except for a couple of teams who have dropped off a bit, but there's such a close IPL that there's very, very little chance for that adjustment. So think about it. If today Kings 11 gets it wrong and CSK chases, they'll be 1-4. And you look at that Kings 11 team and their performances. Do they deserve to be 1-4? Probably not. But that's exactly how tough this league is and how difficult it is to get wins.
Yeah, but just to go back on that point you were making. Gautam, about the big hitters, about the having that settled lineup. Look, RCB are starting to look settled again. I think RCB are one player away from having a settled lineup. Mumbai are having a settled lineup. Kings are still changing. Chennai are settled, but you don't want them to be settled. We want to see a lot more drama with Chennai, but they will continue like this. This is in their DNA. Let's start looking. Delhi Capitals, 7-8 players pick themselves every single game, 9 players. So you start seeing that the settled teams are doing well. And I think Mumbai there, for example, Krunal Pandya knows this is my role. Pollard is now knows that he's going to be used a little bit there. This is Hardik Pandya's role. So I think from that point of view, the settled teams are there. And that's why I think RCB will continue doing well, because I think they're now more settled. They've got their roles defined. And once Morris comes in for Zampa, it'll be the perfect team.
Quick look at the points table before we go back to the second innings or the fourth innings of this Super Sunday. As you can see, just to confirm what Harsha has been saying, if you look at it in terms of settled lineups, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, right up there on 6 points each. And if you go in reverse order, Chennai, who are settled, but really it's only settled because of loyalty and almost stubbornness to continue to be the way they are. But that will have to change, especially if they finish second best today.
Yeah, and I'll make one little last point about Kolkata. I think Kolkata is settled too, but I think they need to settle their batting order. I don't know if Russell is batting up at 4 because he wants to bat at 4. I mean, Morgan said, I thought I read somewhere that Morgan said with so many good players, it's difficult to go up the order. Who's the up the order batsman in that side? Morgan is the up the order batsman in that side. So Russell should be saying, oh, it's difficult for me to come at 4. So I think the moment they get that order settled again, with Morgan at 4 and Karthik and Russell floating at 5 or 6, ideally Karthik 5, Russell 6, you'll find it'll make a big difference again. Morgan at 4 will change that side. So they will get settled again. That's why I won't be surprised if KKR come back.
One slight bit of unsettlement as far as the Punjab fielding lineup are concerned, probably just some internal decision. Nicholas Pooran has donned the gloves. KL Rahul will be captaining without having the added responsibility of having the gloves on. So just a little change. We probably won't see a superhuman effort from Pooran on the boundary line. Maybe some catches behind the stumps. So quick word, which way are you leaning, gentlemen? Harsha?
I'm leaning a close-ish one for Kings.
Joy?
I'll also go with Harsha. I tend to think this is a big one for the Kings. I think they'll get across the line this time.
Yeah, looks like that. But if Chennai have to win, they have to do something very different.
What are you saying?
Well, just to be different, because I was honestly sitting on the fence.
Say what you want to say.
Fair enough. This time they're going to find an unsung hero from somewhere. They're going to be 80 plus at the 10 over mark, and they're going to get over the line by 4 wickets. There you go. I've stuck my neck out.
It'll be brilliant for the league if that happens.
It certainly will be. And Chennai presumably will have thought about it. We saw smiling Stephen Fleming there. He presumably will have something up his sleeve. But what it does say is, at the 10 over mark, when we come on Cricbuzz Combox, it will have pretty much told us where this game is headed. So it's going to be a big Cricbuzz Combox to look forward to. Thank you, Harsha. Thank you, Joy. We'll see you, gentlemen, very shortly at the 10th over. And of course, when we wrap everything up on a big Sunday night.